Power is defined by impact, not popularity. In a world where fame is often mistaken for influence and noise is confused with truth, it's easy to believe that the loudest voice is the most powerful one. But real power, true, lasting power, doesn't come from how many people know your name. It comes from what happens when people hear it. It comes from what you leave behind, what you stand for, and how your actions ripple through the lives of others. You can have millions of followers, but if your presence doesn't uplift, if your message doesn't inspire, if your life doesn't make others think deeper, love harder, or live better, then your popularity is just noise. Temporary, fleeting, but when your values change a room, when your integrity lights a path for others, when your story gives someone the courage to keep going, that's impact and that's power. American Muslims understand this. They don't chase trends, they live by principles. They don't need the spotlight to shine, they shine by staying rooted in something greater than themselves. In a society obsessed with being seen, they choose to be felt. Their impact is quiet, steady, deep, like roots beneath the surface, holding everything together when the storm comes. That's the kind of power that doesn't fade, it grows. They contribute in hospitals, courtrooms, classrooms, studios, and boardrooms, not for recognition, but because they believe in purpose. They speak for justice, not to be praised, but because it's right. And that quiet strength, the kind that doesn't seek applause, the kind that doesn't need to be validated by the world, that is the most dangerous kind of power to those who misunderstand it. Because you can't cancel it. You can't buy it, you can't fake it. Power built on impact is power that lasts. It's not swayed by trends or broken by criticism. It's rooted in service, in values, in faith. It's when a mother raises her children to stand for truth in a world full of lies. When a student chooses discipline over distraction. When a business owner uses their platform to give back instead of just cash in. These are not headlines, but they are holy. These are not broadcast on TV, but they're written on hearts. And the truth is, some of the most powerful people in this world are the ones you'll never see on a stage, but their impact will live long after they're gone. Because their lives weren't about attention, they were about intention. They moved with meaning, and that movement changed lives. So don't confuse noise with power. Don't let the world tell you that popularity is the peak. The real ones, the powerful ones, they don't need a crowd to know their worth. They just keep showing up. They keep building, loving, serving, standing, until one day the world turns around and wonders how it all changed, and the answer will be simple. It changed because someone chose impact over applause. That's the kind of power that lives forever. American Muslims thrive while staying true to their faith. In a world that constantly demands compromise, where blending in is often mistaken for success, choosing to remain rooted in faith is a powerful act of resistance. It is not easy to navigate a society that often misunderstands or misrepresents what you believe. Yet every single day, American Muslims rise to that challenge. They thrive, not by abandoning their beliefs, but by holding on to them with grace, with strength, and with quiet pride. Thriving doesn't always mean dominating headlines or sitting at the top of the corporate ladder, though many do. It means building lives of meaning, raising families with strong values, and contributing to the greater good, all while keeping faith at the center. It means bowing your head in prayer even when the world around you doesn't understand it. It means fasting in the middle of a workday, giving charity without expecting recognition, and being kind in a world that often rewards cruelty. That is strength, that is thriving. American Muslims are teachers, artists, doctors, engineers, entrepreneurs, activists, parents, students, and in every walk of life, they bring something deeper with them. They bring intention, a sense of purpose that comes from something higher than any paycheck or title. That purpose is shaped by their faith, the belief in mercy, justice, service, and the idea that life is not just about success in this world, but something beyond it. That perspective is what makes them resilient. That's what keeps them going when times get hard. They face stereotypes and discrimination. They hear the whispers, they feel the pressure, but still, they show up. Still, they succeed. Still, they stay true. They don't just succeed despite being Muslim, they succeed because of the strength their faith gives them. Because Islam teaches discipline, patience, humility, and the value of knowledge. Because the prayer mat reminds them that their worth doesn't come from the opinion of others, but from the one who created them. To thrive as a person of faith in a society that often idolizes fame, materialism, and individualism is not a small thing. It is, in fact, one of the greatest acts of self-knowledge. American Muslims carry their identity not as a burden, but as a banner. They represent a balance between tradition and modern life, between spiritual depth and worldly ambition. And in doing so, they show the world that you don't have to compromise who you are to succeed. You can walk into any room, own your space, speak your truth, and still be exactly who you were raised to be. They're not perfect, no one is, but in their striving, in their daily attempts to live with dignity and faith, they inspire others, Muslim and non-Muslim alike. They remind us that identity is not something to hide, but something to honor. That being different is not a weakness. It's a kind of power. So when we talk about thriving, let's redefine what it means. Let's stop seeing faith as a limitation and start recognizing it as fuel. Because the ones who hold fast to their principles, who work with both heart and hands, who face every obstacle and keep their heads high, those are the ones truly thriving. And the beauty is, they do it all without ever losing who they are. They lead through service, not ego. That's the difference. In a world where so many chase titles, status, and applause, leadership has become confused with visibility. But real leadership, the kind that lasts, the kind that matters, isn't about standing above others. It's about lifting others up. American Muslims have shown this through action, not words. They don't need to announce their leadership. They live it. Quietly, consistently, and with purpose. You'll find them organizing food drives, building youth programs, showing up for their communities in ways that never make the news. You'll see them mentoring young people, advocating for justice, and giving their time, energy, and resources without ever asking for anything in return. That's not ego, that's service, that's leadership. Because true leaders don't lead to be followed. They lead to make a difference. They understand that leadership is a responsibility, not a reward. It means seeing the needs of the people around you and stepping forward when no one else will. It means giving credit to others, taking the blame when things go wrong, and staying grounded when things go right. These aren't just values they talk about. These are values they live, values rooted deeply in their faith. Islam teaches that the best among people are those who are most beneficial to others. That's not a slogan. It's a mindset. It's a way of life. And American Muslims embody that mindset every day. Whether it's doctors treating patients with compassion, teachers shaping young minds, activists standing up for human rights, or business owners giving back to their communities, they lead by giving. They lead by serving. They lead by example. In a time when so much leadership is performative, superficial, and self-serving, this kind of service-driven leadership stands out. It creates trust, it builds unity, and most of all, it leaves a legacy. Because the people who change lives aren't the ones demanding attention. They're the ones showing up when nobody else does. They're the ones who stay late, who give extra, who go beyond what's required because they believe in something greater than themselves. And let's be clear, this kind of leadership is not weakness, it's not passive, it takes strength to serve, it takes character to put others first, it takes discipline to stay focused on the mission instead of the praise. That's why service is such a powerful form of leadership. because it's not fueled by ego, it's fueled by conviction. You'll see it in how American Muslims rally during times of crises, not just for themselves, but for others. They show solidarity across lines of race, religion, and class. They donate, they organize, they show up, and not just when cameras are rolling. That's real leadership. It's not always glamorous, it's not always rewarded, but it's always necessary. In families, in neighborhoods, in schools, in nonprofits, in politics, and in business, American Muslims lead with a purpose that's not about self-promotion, but about collective growth. That's what makes their leadership not only effective but transformative. Because when leadership is driven by service, it becomes unstoppable. And when ego steps aside, greatness walks in. Resilience in the face of misunderstanding is real strength. There's a kind of power that doesn't come from being praised or welcomed with open arms. It comes from standing tall when you're doubted, from walking forward when the world tries to push you back. American Muslims live with that reality. They know what it means to be misunderstood, to be judged before a word is spoken, to have their beliefs questioned, their loyalty challenged, their identity reduced to headlines and stereotypes. And yet, they rise. This resilience doesn't grow overnight. It's built day by day, experience by experience. It grows in the little moments, when a child walks into school wearing hijab and holds her head high, knowing she might be the only one. It grows in the boardroom, when a man excuses himself for prayer and returns without apology. It grows in the heart of a mother, teaching her children to be proud of who they are, even when the world makes it hard. That's not just endurance, that's strength. It's easy to stand proud when everyone's clapping. It's harder to stay grounded when you're met with suspicion or silence. American Muslims navigate that tension constantly. They live in a country that celebrates freedom of religion, yet they're often seen through a lens of fear. They love their home, contribute to their communities, and still find themselves having to prove they belong. And even then, they don't stop. That takes a kind of inner force most people can't see. But it's real and it's powerful. They educate, they speak, they create, they defend, but more than anything, they continue. That's the essence of resilience, not just surviving, but continuing with dignity, choosing not to let the world define them, choosing to define themselves instead, and they do it through faith, through family, through work, and through unshakable belief in their own worth. This kind of strength isn't loud, it doesn't shout, it doesn't need to. It speaks through actions, through the student who keeps going, even after hearing hurtful words, through the woman who walks into every room knowing people might stare, but refuses to shrink, through the father who stays up late working multiple jobs so his kids can chase dreams without limits. These are not moments the world always sees, but they are moments that shape history. American Muslims carry stories of resilience that stretch back generations. Immigrants who came with nothing, families who rebuilt their lives from scratch, individuals who faced isolation but turned it into purpose. And today, they continue that legacy, not by hiding who they are, but by owning it fully. That's real courage, that's real leadership. Resilience in the face of misunderstanding also means choosing hope over bitterness. It means choosing to build bridges even when others build walls. It means answering ignorance not with anger but with excellence. That doesn't mean staying silent. It means staying wise, knowing when to speak, when to act, and when to simply be the example that proves all the assumptions wrong. Through all the trials, American Muslims have shown that they are not defined by how others see them. They are defined by how they carry themselves, by how they keep going, and by how they continue to rise even when no one expects them to. Because in the end, strength isn't measured by who supports you. It's revealed in how you respond when they don't. Faith, identity, and excellence coexist powerfully. This isn't a contradiction. It's a truth that American Muslims leave out every single day. In a world that often tells people they have to choose, between who they are and what they want to achieve, between their roots and their future, between their values and the so-called real world. American Muslims are proving that you don't have to split yourself to succeed. You can bring all of who you are and still rise. There's a myth out there that faith holds people back. That to be truly successful, you have to water down your beliefs, blend in, or fit into a certain mold. But look closer at American Muslims, and you'll see something else entirely. You'll see doctors praying between surgeries. You'll see CEO breaking fasts in meetings. You'll see students reciting Quran before exams, artists drawing strength from their stories, athletes making sujood on the field. That's not a contradiction. That's harmony. That's power. Faith gives purpose. Identity gives grounding, and when those two meet excellence, the result is unstoppable. It creates people who are not only skilled, but deeply rooted. People who aren't just chasing success for the sake of a title or a paycheck, but who are striving to make their work reflect something greater. Their faith teaches them that every action matters, that integrity is essential, and that the best work is work done with sincerity. And that shows in the way they lead, the way they speak, the way they serve. Excellence is not just about results, it's about intention. It's about putting in the work, doing it well, and doing it with a higher purpose in mind. That's what faith instills. And when your identity is secure, when you know exactly who you are, you move differently. You're not looking for approval. You're operating from conviction. That's the kind of excellence that lasts. This fusion of faith, identity, and excellence is what makes American Muslims not just contributors to society, but change makers within it. They don't just want a seat at the table. They're building their own tables, creating their own spaces, mentoring the next generation to walk proudly in their own footsteps. And they're doing it with dignity, with strength, with grace. They're not hiding their faith to succeed. They're using their faith to fuel their success. That's the beauty of it. Their identity isn't a limitation. It's a foundation. It's the very thing that keeps them steady when the road gets tough. And their pursuit of excellence is not for ego. It's for legacy. It's to honor where they come from and to pave a path for those who come next. You see it in their character, in their discipline, in their drive. It's not about proving something to the world. It's about staying true to who they are while becoming the best version of themselves. That takes strength. That takes balance. That takes belief. The world often tells people to break themselves apart to fit in. But American Muslims show that the real win is when you bring your whole self to the table. Your faith, your story, your vision. And let that be your superpower. Because when you walk in truth, work with purpose, and believe deeply in what you do, excellence isn't just possible, it's inevitable. And when you own your faith, honor your identity, and still reach for greatness, you don't just succeed. You redefine what success really means. They are not just part of the story, they are shaping it. That's a truth that often gets overlooked. In the narrative of America's progress, resilience, and evolution, American Muslims aren't simply observers or background characters. They are authors. They are innovators, leaders, and contributors who are actively carving new paths and redefining what it means to belong, to lead, and to build. For too long, the image of American Muslims has been shaped by others, often through misrepresentation, media bias, or a lens of fear. But that's not the full picture, not even close. The real story is being written every day by people who are changing their communities, breaking barriers, and speaking truths that need to be heard. And they're not asking for permission to do it. They are just doing it. In science labs, film studios, courtrooms, classrooms, and city halls, American Muslims are making decisions that impact lives. They are not sitting on the sidelines waiting for validation. They are actively creating culture, policy, solutions, and dialogue. And they're doing it with a unique voice, one informed by faith, shaped by identity and driven by a deep desire for justice and compassion. Look around and you'll see artists telling stories that challenge stereotypes and uplift underrepresented voices. You'll find entrepreneurs building companies that serve their communities with integrity and heart. You'll meet educators who bring cultural richness into the classroom, and activists who refuse to let injustice go unchallenged. These are not side notes in history. These are the people shaping what history will remember. American Muslims are also shaping the story through the next generation. They are raising children who are proud of their roots, confident in their faith, and ambitious in their goals. They are creating environments where young Muslims can dream without limits, where hijab is worn with pride, where prayer is not hidden but honored, where identity is not a struggle but a source of strength. That's how you shape a future, not just by being present, but by preparing the ground for those who come next. It's not always easy. Shaping the story means challenging the one that already exists. It means speaking when it's uncomfortable. It means choosing truth over silence, even when silence would be safer. But that's what makes it powerful, because stories are how people understand the world. And when you reclaim your narrative, you reclaim your place in the world. This isn't about seeking recognition. It's about impact, about ensuring that future generations don't have to fight to be seen because those before them built something unshakable. A legacy of pride, purpose, and power. A reminder that being Muslim and being American are not in conflict. They are complementary parts of a deeper, richer identity. The story of American Muslims is not just about overcoming obstacles. It's about rewriting the script entirely. It's about showing that leadership can look different, that faith can be a source of innovation, that diversity is not a challenge but a gift. They are shaping a story that is more inclusive, more compassionate, and more true to the values this country claims to hold. And as that story continues to unfold, one thing becomes clear. American Muslims are not waiting to be written into history. They are already writing it with every breath, every step, and every act of courage.